Morning.
Always wanted to say that. Okay, I think we'll start. So, thank you very much, and welcome, councillors and officers, to this executive meeting on the 9th of September 2025. I'd just like to mention that we've had some technical difficulties, but the meeting is being recorded and will be shared onto the public later on. I go to the agenda. First item is apologies for absence. I've Councillor Williams. Thank you. Item 2, minutes of the 29th of July 2025. If everyone is happy with that, can I propose it? I will propose.
Second, Chair.
And Councillor Shaw, that's unanimous. Thank you. Item 3, announcements. It is not with great joy, because we're losing a very valued member of staff today, as this is his last report, and I would just like to thank our Chief Financial Officer, 151 officer, as most people know, Martin Pittcroft, years and years of service. It was reported to me this morning that he was in school uniform knocking on the door 50 years ago, but I don't believe that. We're the managing director from the same school, so, but he has been here and he was approved. He was approved. It was approved. I'd just like to say that for all the work that you have done, it's with great pride that you can leave in retirement. I know your wife will be working on some years more, but that's the way the Chief Financial Officer is planning ahead for his retirement. But I'd just like to say thank you for the time that I had working with you when I was a finance executive member, and the way that you have left this council, the only council within Devon that is debt-free. I'm quite proud of saying that when I go to other councils and other leaders, and they go very quiet when I mention that. So something that you can take away in all the hard work that you put into this council. I know you're going to help us through the draft budget today and come back and do some further work as well to help us out. Just want to say thank you myself. I'll pass over to John Parrott, who is the executive member of finance, to say a few words.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank Martin hugely for guiding me through this first year, coming back into the finance after many, many years. It's been quite a steep learning curve, and so good attitudes and the way
Can we show an appreciation for our Chief Financial Officer, and I think that the leader of the Conservatives would like to say something, and the leader of the Independent as well.
Thank you. My machine isn't working, but can I add my thanks to our 151 officer for the work that he's done when we were in control. We benefited again from the fantastic work that Martin put in to build up the reserves that we currently have. I think Martin should look back on a career with a great deal of pride. We as councillors, members of the team, should express
Yeah, I'd just like to endorse that, what Phil said, what we've all said. You know, we're losing somebody that always gives us a hand and an insight into things, particularly with our business forecast of the budget, what have you, which is in bracing form, which helps us to understand things. And I wish him well in his retirement. I hope to have an odd pint when I see him in Timber. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And I hope you're mine. Thank you again, Marty.
Thank you very much.
And if we can show appreciation, please. Moving on with business, item 4 is declarations of interest. Do I have any from the executive? I see nothing there, thank you. Item 5 is the executive forward plan. And I would just like to thank our head of democratic services for populating that. Now we have got that up and running. And is there any comments from any of the exec members? I see none. Item 6 is public questions. I have one. Item 7 is the 2024-2025 draft final accounts and treasury management, 2025-26 budget monitoring and treasury management blending list. And hand over to Councillor Barrett to move that.
Thank you, Chair. The report before you provides a comprehensive overview of the 24-25 draft final accounts, treasury management results and budget monitoring for 25-26. It encompasses revenue, capital finance results, treasury management lending lists, and highlights deviations through budgets, alongside updates on capital projects and capital funding. The report also addresses risks, legal obligations, and environmental considerations pertinent to the Council's financial management. The report has already been considered by the Audit Committee at their meeting on the 2nd of September. The 24-25 draft accounts were published on 4th of July and are available for public inspection on the Teignbridge website. The draft results for 24-25. The draft statement of accounts certified by the Chief Financial Officer indicates that general reserves closed at 2.5 million, surpassing the original budgeted level, but aligning with projections made in February 25. The net expenditure variances include savings primarily from increased leisure membership income and investment interest, alongside cost increases in areas such as audit fees and bed and breakfast expenses. The overall adverse variance of 1.574 million was predominantly funded through programme reserves. Bad debt provisions have been adjusted with council tax provisions increasing and business rates and bad debts increasing. Sundry debt write-offs amounted to 121,000, council tax write-offs to 640,000, and business rate write-offs to 85,000 a year. The draft final capital programme for 24-25, the original capital budget of 53.3 million was revised down to 36.7 million due to rescheduling more accurate phasing of projects. Actual capital expenditure was 40.8 million, with significant carry forwards, including 568,000 for the George Link Road, 691,000 for the Market Hall, and 1.6 million for Bradley Lane site buildings. New grant-funded projects such as local authority housing fund and Rural England Prosperity receipts carried forward total 4.36 million, with 23.27 million available from the community infrastructure levy. Recent capital additions include 5.03 million for waste transfer station redevelopment and funding for rural prosperity projects. Future High Street Fund projects and hopes for Teignbridge affordable housing scheme continue to progress, and the £3.7 million investment in the Broadmeadows Sports Centre refurbishment has been completed. The Treasury Management lending list and results. The Treasury Management lending list has been updated for the latest credit ratings and includes adjustments such as Close Brothers Limited, East Building Society, moving from Tier 2 to Tier 3. The Council adhered to its Treasury Management strategy with no long-term borrowing during 24-25, opting for internal borrowing to minimise interest costs, which saving approximately 96,000. The capital financing requirement was 35.3 million, inflated by leases under IFRS 16. Investment funds averaged 40.6 million, with net interest earned increasing to 1.96 million at an average rate of 4.96. Bank of England base rate decreased during the year, with forecasts anticipating further reductions. Lending was primarily to the Debt Management Office and other approved counterparties, maintaining liquidity and earning competitive interest. I'd like to thank the team in the finance department who worked so hard behind the scenes to make sure that we receive the best possible return on our funds and balances. The revenue budget monitoring variations, some good news here. As at the end of July, we have a net favourable budget variation of 604,000. Positive variations are noted in development management, corporate services, environmental change and leisure, partially offset by small adverse variance in general services. Key concerns remain, however, with scrapping of the new homes bonus and potential reset of business rate retention, which may lead to significant future funding shortfalls. These risks are being managed through earmarked reserves and ongoing savings initiatives under the Model 25 programme. Specific service variations, building control, fee income is forecast below budget, but any year-end variations will be managed by building control reserves, so therefore not impacting on general reserves. Planning applications income is forecast to exceed budget by 50,000, despite a 13% reduction in application numbers. We've got permanent savings from the leadership restructuring exercise which took place. These exceed 150,000. Interest receivable is forecast to be 183,000 above budget due to higher investment returns, and we're not anticipating any external borrowings, so continuing internal borrowing savings are estimated at 484,000 a year. Repairs and maintenance are on budget. Property income aligns with expectations. Capital projects include town centre investments in climate land development. Fuel costs are forecast to be underspent by 120,000. Recycling sales income is expected to be 225,000 lower due to falling prices. However, income from the extended producer responsible for packaging is likely to be 366,000 above the budget Decarbonisation projects at leisure centres have been completed or are underway. Various housing grants supporting homeless prevention, domestic abuse, safe accommodation, refugee housing schemes. Capital budgets include 7.7 million for property acquisitions and 6.79 million for social rented flats and Sherborne House alongside other projects. Leisure income forecast to be 200,000 above budget, which is great news, and significant section 106 are available for leisure-related projects. Licensing income is on target, and parking income is meeting budget expectations. Council tax forecast 411,000 below estimate. Business rateable value and assessed businesses increased slightly. We've got significant vacancy savings, which are on target. The pay award for staff is slightly exceeding budget, creating a 49 pounds pressure. Utility costs remain stable. Inflation and borrowing costs propose ongoing challenges in capital project returns. In terms of risks, significant risks include simply future uncertainties due to the potential abolition of the new homes bonus and changes to business rate retention. The Council maintains earmarked reserves to mitigate these risks. Compliance with accounts and audit regulations to 2015 and SIPA Treasury Management Code is ongoing. The Council faces a budget deficit of forecast of 3.8 billion for 26-27 and 3.6 billion for 27-28, which prompts continued efforts to identify savings and efficiencies. In terms of the environment, the revenue budget supports a dedicated climate change officer, and capital projects are aligned with climate objectives, which are highlighted in the capital programme. Recent investments include decarbonisation efforts at leisure centres and infrastructure for electric vehicles. I would like to thank Martin and his team for their hard work in managing the finances of the authority so well at a time of constant change and ever-increasing pressure. I therefore propose that the Executive Committee resolves 1. To note the draft revenue results for 2023
responsibilities for devolution, local government reorganisation and fair funding review. Now, if I can say that on many occasions we have met with the Minister and have been to various conferences, webinars, and Teams meetings with the Minister, and he made it very clear to us exactly the direction of the government. But now we find that this is being changed. He is being changed, but not only him is being changed. So also, I'd like to point out they've thrown in the fairer funding review, which was a 10 million deficit for Devon County Council. Councillor, I'll be asking for £10 for the chairman's fund, so please keep your phone on.
That's why just being checked a bit off.
So that minister has been removed from local and he has left government. He has been replaced by the Minister of State for Local Government, Alison McGovern MP. Also, the Parliamentary Under Secretary of State has also been replaced within the department. Local Growth and Democracy Minister Alex Norris MP has been moved to the Home Office, while the Homeless Minister who previously left government earlier this summer, has not been replaced. So there seems to be some disarray with government, the present government, in the direction that we should be going in. Whereas previously the Minister was very pro looking at Devon as a whole. So I shall certainly keep the Council updated on further developments around that and welcome the new Minister into his post and ask for clarification of exactly what is happening, because the residents of Devon need to know, as well as the councillors here, whether they're in a job next year. So we certainly need some clarification on that, and we will be asking for that as soon as possible. But if I can just talk to the local government reorganisation update and the many letters that are backwards and forwards. In fact, we've just received one from the previous Minister thanking us for all the hard work, which would have been nice if he'd still been in post, but not. So there have been various meetings within the scope that we've been allowed. So as exec members and councillors here know, that the proposal that went before full council was for an alignment of the 145 unitary. So we're actually in the 4, and officers are looking at the data that's being provided. I was in the office of Devon County Council when it was shared last Thursday, the final portions of data that's so important, which is adult social care and children, which is 80% of the budget of Devon County Council. We must not forget that. When we're looking at the new makeup of the unitary and how that is going to cost taxpayers of Devon, as well as providing the best service for those people in adult social
Rosie, would you like to add anything, and then we open it up for questions?
No, I think you covered everything. Thank you, Councillor Barrett. So, yes, if you have any questions, please do ask away.
Thank you, Councillor Barrett. Councillor Hunt.
Yeah, thank you, Dean. Yeah, I welcome the procurement strategy, and particularly welcome the
I've certainly seen since I'm been here in Devon, because I'm not a third generation in Devon, I'm not a local. You have to be 3 generations here before you can be classed as that. But just to say that, they are the lifeblood. They spend in their communities more than those companies that work outside our area. So it's very important that we get our procurement right. But I'd like to thank Councillor Hook for her input on this with Councillor Parrott and the officer, and Councillor Parrott has some wording around that, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. So I'm going to propose that the executive adopts the new purchasing strategy, which is set out on appendix 1 of the report, with 2 amendments. One within the strategy, which should reference our commitment to net zero and our carbon action plan, and cross-reference our commitment to scope 3 emissions, including target date. And 2, the procurement should include questions regarding energy efficiency, minimising waste, recycling, reducing and phasing out fossil fuel use, and we should include that within our strategy. So, and we have already talked about this in exam 4.
And I have a second for that. It's Councillor Hook. And would any other councillors like to talk to that? So we'll go for the show of hands.
That's just one thing, the recommendation that, like in the previous one, that delegated authorities given to executive members make minor amendments to the strategy.
Thank you. And second, would be happy with that? Okay. And go to a show of hands for that, please. And that's unanimous. So thank you for your work. Thank you, Rosie, for your work on this. Very important. Moving on to item 10, for information, individual executive members' decision to note on the website. And I'd like to thank everyone attending, members of the public that came in later, and councillors and officers